all of a sudden the idea popped up over my head, and we were like, why don't I do this for fantasy sports? Anybody can wear this. Anybody. But it's a lightweight piece. So we now have the I suck at fantasy football piece.
So I know you're a Yankees fan, and I think, unfortunately, you might also be a Jets fan. Welcome, everybody, and hello to another episode of Under the Hoodie. I'm Scott Hoyt, host of Under the Hoodie and the founder of Fantasy Sports Strategies, which also produces this show. I'm excited for today's show because we're joined by a very, very talented entrepreneur behind USA Sports Fan Chains, a brand that I believe is redefining how fans truly get recognized with their performances, good or bad. And that's the true definition of the heartbeat of Famden and user engagement. So we're going to talk a little bit about from idea to execution. We're going to dive into how he built it, what's fueling the growth, and where do they see the future of fan engagement heading. So please welcome to the show my good friend, Matty Straus. Matty, welcome.
Hi, Scott. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
I'm glad you could make it. And it's always fun when you can talk to somebody who you've kind of followed their journey here for the last, I don't know, I followed it for the last year or so. So it's always good to talk to you in here and get updates from you. One of the things that we're going to do.
24 FSGA.
Yes. We'll exactly. And we'll talk a little bit about that as well today. But before we look ahead, I like to kind of always step back a bit. And when we step back you're going to give us a bit of your background and how did you end up where you are today?
Well, my journey actually started New York City, born and raised, and 1978 blizzard. I decided that 1979 I moved down to Florida, and I ended up in the jewelry business. And I've been doing that ever since. So 48 years I've been in the jewelry business. One of the things that I've done through my career is when I was 24, I opened up my own jewelry company, wholesale jewelry company. And a year later, I started doing licensed sports items. And I started with the Florida Gators. That's who I started with, and ended up with the whole Southeast conference and built the jewelry industry, started with that. And now you can see it's an amazing business right now, where now everybody's doing NFL, MLB, so on and so forth. But jewelry became a big part of that. So it's kind of always been in my blood doing that. I was lucky enough, as I've moved on in my career, one of the things, I'm now the director of a company that I work for, and the brand is Logo Art. And we do the sports licensing and tailgating show. And two booths down from me, or actually right next to me, was the gentleman who started making the fan chains that you see everybody wearing in the stadiums. We became very friendly, talking, between the booths, so on and so forth, because I was very interested in the product. And my son's best friend actually is on the U.S. Olympic team. So my first journey with it was I was trying to get the license for the Olympics, and I wanted to make those pieces, and then of course put them out there. Unfortunately, somebody had already gotten that license. So I couldn't do that. But when I was in the gym, as always, talking fantasy sports with my trainer, all of a sudden the idea popped up over my head, and we were like, why don't I do this for fantasy sports? I wasn't aware that other people were doing it, although they are. But we started the business back in 2023. And I kind of slowly grew the business to where we are today, first coming out in 2024 and now to where we are today. And that's kind of
And
how
I
we got
think
started.
I think, Matty, I've heard this story several times, and I'm always inspired by it because it's your background in the jewelry business combined with the love of sports, which kind of brought you to where you are today. I always ask my guests this question because I think you've already talked about it a little bit, but maybe you could crystallize it a bit more for me and the audiences. Did you have this aha moment that said, okay, wait a minute, this is a great idea for this USA sports fan chains to come to life? What was it? Was it at that gym that you were talking to that buddy? When was it that you said, okay, there it is?
Oh, actually, it was at the gym, and as we were talking our normal fantasy sports, our football leagues, and going through it, and and actually, we was like, well, why don't you do it for that? And then it was like, wow, you're right. And the nice thing is there's no licensing fees involved, which is great, always great, right? So you get to make that product. And the fact that I had my buddy who's the original turnover fan chain that makes this product for what was in the stadiums, still is in the stadiums and what they're using, is a great piece. It's a very lightweight. It's made out of EVA foam. We put a nice vinyl top on it, so it's durable. It's just a great item. But that was the aha moment right there. I mean, it was kind of like it went on, and then I even got some pushback. I mean, they were like, well, because he doesn't play fantasy sports, the manufacturer, so he kind of didn't get it, right? And then when I did my research and found out how many people are actually in this space, it was like, I think this is definitely something. So I took a bunch of money and put it in there, and that's that's how I started the company, and that's what we're doing now. So.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note under full disclosure, and I think it's a good full disclosure here, is that you're kind of building this with a partner. I know that she wasn't able to attend today, but I'd like for you to at least introduce her and then talk a little bit about how you guys build this together and how do you divide the responsibilities day to day, who does what and when and how.
Oh my goodness. Well, Galit is or Gigi, who's my partner.
I always affectionately call her Gigi, and I was going to introduce
absolutely.
her as Gigi.
And she prefers that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Gigi and I have been friends for 13 years. As I do, she has another job also, so we're both working both ends of the candle here. But her role really is she's an amazing life coach. She's just brilliant, and she keeps me focused. I'm the creative side, making pieces, doing the manufacturing, sales. I'm the tap dancer here. That's what I do, and she's more the corporate end of the business for me. So she keeps all that stuff. She keeps me very focused and on the straight and narrow as to what I'm doing, where I'm going, dealing with some of the larger corporations that we do deal with. So
yeah, I've seen that dynamic in play on several occasions when I've been with the two of you, and also I also do want to mention that you guys are intimately involved in the FSGA, and that's ultimately how you and we met, and so I think you're committed to that association because of what you do every day, and I think it's a cool journey, and that's why I'd love to talk to you about it today.
Yeah. I just wanted to mention, Gigi just came in, I had started this on my own, but eventually being with FSGA and finding out really what this involves, I knew that I couldn't do this on my own. I know I needed somebody by my side to work with me to get that done. And she is.
Well, there isn't a founder
really
out there, especially in early stage companies, that doesn't have that same dynamic. I would say that there's always somebody in the background or the forefront helping them out. And I think in this case, you've got that.
You have to have brilliant people around you to be successful. I've always believed in that concept. It's you can't do everything by yourself. Things fall through the cracks. This is my catcher, right? So she makes sure that those things don't happen as I'm going through. But
all right, so you mentioned this in the opening, and I want to talk a little bit about two things here. I want to talk about what I describe as product differentiation, and then kind of who's your audience that you're ultimately targeting here. I think we kind of know who it is, but we'll talk a little bit more in detail about that. But let's talk a little bit about product differentiation. As you know, and I think you've discovered a couple of years ago, that there are plenty of what I would just call fan accessories out there. So what makes, in your opinion, and I think I know the answer to this, but what makes USA sports fan change unique?
well, I mean, my product, and I'm going to.
And I was hoping you were going to put that on. I was hoping you were going to bring that out.
So the thing that makes our piece different is, first of all, it's extremely lightweight. So you can wear this all the time. A lot of the other stuff that's out there is very heavy. So after a while, it kind of becomes a pain wearing it. This does not. This you can wear all the time. Like I said, you can. I don't know if you can hear the vinyl top on that, but it's a lightweight piece. So it's also adjustable. So if somebody doesn't want to wear something that's all the way down here, you can pull it up to here. Or kids can wear them, because there are a lot of young people who play fantasy sports and they have their own leagues, right? That their dads are running, that kind of thing. So, those things are available. One of the other pieces is my product is much less expensive than the other products that are out there, which is a big deal. We're almost 40% less than the other products out there. The one thing that's nice that is about ours is the fact that one of the things I didn't want to do was anybody can wear this. Anybody. So you can put the name right on the back here of whoever wins the league or whatever, if you want to use a Sharpie and put it on there, but it's good for anybody. And not only can you wear it, but you can also hang it on your wall as a trophy, right? Kind of thing. But this you can take with you anywhere you go, to the bar, to your draft, hanging out with your friends, that kind of thing. So,
and I can personally attest that I have several. I'm commissioner of 2 leagues, and I've used your chains, and they've been well received for those exact same reasons. One, they're very cool to look at. They're lightweight, so they're good quality, and I think it really does highlight a league accomplishment and a team accomplishment. But we're going to take one step back here and say accomplishments are good, but what about the bad accomplishments of a team?
Well,
there's as much attention going to losers in a league than there are winners.
We actually, and this week, which is really funny, our piece just came in that was coming soon. So we now have the I Suck at Fantasy Football piece, which is, and we made it extremely large so that when you have to take your wife out to dinner and take pictures and wear this around your neck in your suit in a nice restaurant, it's going to make a impression. Or if you have to wear it out, to the stadium or wherever your buddies make you wear that piece when you lose the league. But we do have that too. And we're coming out with new product all the time. So
yeah, I love that piece, and in fact, I wish we'd had that piece about a month ago, because my producer Nick Phillips's dad was a big loser this year in his league, and Tom and Nick were at the FSGA, and I would have forced Tom to wear that one day, and that would have been perfect. I would have loved that. So we might have to retroactive that one, but.
You could, but by the way, I mean, Scott, this was your brainchild. You're the one who put me onto that. So, I thank you for that. So we've already started. I mean, we've already got orders for them. I mean, they're already going out the door. So
yeah, and I would say that I don't know
great.
if I'm the brainchild, but I just recommended that you ought to have that because as a commissioner of two leagues and involved in other leagues, there is probably as much attention and maybe even more so on how you recognize the loser of the league. Everything from the change that you just described to they have to do a certain event to show that they are a loser. And trust me, this year, or last year, I should say, thank God the clock and the calendars turned. But last year was horrible for me. The good news is I didn't come in last place in any of these. So I'm not going to be subjective to any of that type of ridicule this year. But it's a great product. And so thank you for sharing that. Let's talk a little bit about, because you've kind of mentioned already, is kind of the target audience is, the target audience is clear. It's the whole entire fantasy community. But that fantasy community makes up a lot of different elements. And so are you seeing any traction in these particular platform providers, commissioners, leagues, or just individual users? Where's your traction?
Well, again, my background is wholesale, which really nobody else is in the industry. They're all basically, they're B2Cs for the most part. Everybody who's in my side, doing my business. Cause we sell a product. We're not a league. We sell a product to the industry. So we're a little bit different from everybody else. My focus when, I brainstormed about doing this was, I wanted to be on the wholesale side and I wanted to sell to the leagues. I thought it was, as I've come along, I still, am on that path. And we now have affiliate programs that we're doing with people, that are coming up this year. But I was always wondered why, people who have leagues and they run hundreds or thousands or even millions of leagues, it's their guest, it's their audience. Why wouldn't you pre-sell a package to a league prior to, just like they sell analytics and everything else that goes along with the league? So that was always my brainchild. That was really where I was focused on. And that is now coming to fruition. Also doing customization. We have the ability to customize pieces for people who have their own leagues or their own type situation, games that they're running, that kind of thing. And they're wanting their logos. So people who win their games can now get a piece as a promo item for their logos. So that became very big. I have about 4 or 5 people right now who are on the line that are very interested in doing that. So, well,
and as you know, and I think that's kind of the core of fantasy sports and sports in general, that fan identity is such a huge part of the sports culture, and your products kind of enhance what I would just call that experience, whether again it's a good thing or a bad thing. So, Matty, I know you talked about this earlier, and I'd like for you to expand upon it. Talk a little bit about your affiliate program and how the dynamics of that works.
So the affiliate program that we've put out there is pretty simple. What it does is we have a code that we use with people. They sign up. We pay them per piece for the item when they sell it on a monthly basis. We take all that, put it together. And then at the end of the year, based on the number of pieces that people have sold, we then write a bonus spiff for quantity for what's going on. So those pieces are, so it's pretty simple. There's no cost to anybody except for just putting it up on the site itself.
So thank you for sharing that. I think the affiliate program is, in my opinion, is probably a big part of your growth strategy, and we'll talk about that in a second. I always like to ask my early stage entrepreneurs, and you're one of them. I always ask this question because it's an important one. It's kind of more of a learning experience, but I know that every founder of every startup has always had challenges, and trying to get the business off the ground is the biggest challenge. But is there anything that you have pointed to that was your biggest challenge of getting this off the ground?
I think my biggest challenge, when I first went to FSGA, was that people didn't know who I was, and I think that's the biggest challenge. I think the second time we went, and myself and Gigi were there, and we really, in a day and a half, we walked away with 55 different contacts of people, because they started to realize we weren't just here for a second. We're now we're becoming part of the business. And we have a great product. Lots of people love their product. Even the first time I was there, they loved what I had, but they weren't ready to pull the trigger. Timing is everything, at that point. And they also had other people that they are loyal to and they were doing business with. And I understand all that. I'm a big person on loyalty. It's a great piece. Thing is that the other guys don't offer what I offer on a wholesale level, because they don't have wholesale, which I do. So it makes me different from everybody else.
So let's examine that a little bit further, and I'll put it under the category of growth strategy. So what are, for you going forward, kind of your key levers for growing your business? Is it your affiliate program? Is it potentially licensing, partnerships, e-commerce, any of that? Where do you see this from your growth strategy?
We had to put together an e-commerce site, but that's not really my main focus. It's there, it's out there, and we use it as part of the affiliate. That's part of the affiliate program, so that it's seamless. If somebody comes to your site, they click on our button, they put in the discount code, I get the information, and I ship it out, and it's gone. Our growth strategy really is having more and more of these affiliates that we have. Right now, we have 4 affiliates that we're working with, going to be working with, that have signed up. More to come, hopefully. I am looking for, the larger guys too. This year, at least, I was able to make those connections. I've been able to have those meetings with some of those guys, and we'll see where we go. Again, for me, it's trying to get them to understand it's just margin for them. It's huge margin for them with no cost. Where is this going to grow? It's always going to be there. It's something that's just going to be residual every year. It's just going to get bigger and bigger as people start to know who we are.
Well, and that's kind of my next question. And I'm always a crystal ball kind of guy, especially when it comes to marketing and branding. And so what is your vision for your brand? When you think about 2 to 3 years from now, what do you think you're going to look like? And what ultimately does success look like for you? Talk about that.
Success looks like retirement for me.
That sounds like an exit strategy to me.
But listen, we were building this business so that it would grow and become big enough that maybe our families would get involved. Who knows, kind of thing. It's hard to say. Right now it's my focus. All right, I can't be 3 years down the road. Right now, my focus is finding influencers, which I've found. I'm very lucky in those respects. We did a lot of marketing and advertising with Fantasy Alarm, those guys, over November and December, January.
I'm a big fan of theirs. I love those
Absolutely. Guys. I am too. Howard Bender's one of my really good friends. We had we had some great discussions. That's a pretty funny story.
He's one of the best, Matty. He's one of the
best. He is. But he hung up on me the first time I ever called into the show. That's how Howard and I became friends. And then all of a sudden I went and told him that, and we just started laughing and found out that he was from New York and 109th Street, and we've eaten a lot of the same dirt, and we've just become great friends from there, as we have. Yeah, right. Exactly. So we just have a lot of things in common and a lot of sports in common. Howard's a Jet fan and a Yankee fan as I am. So,
and we're going to talk about that in a second.
Oh my God, we're up and down all year long. Right now, I'm feeling pretty good about my Yankees. So,
we're going to talk about that here in a second. And we're going to get to that at the very end, where we can have some fun with that one. So.
Absolutely. But listen, we're just trying to make inroads and make relationships. Like anything else, sales, companies, you've got to make a relationship. You've got to build those things. That's really our focus right now, showing people how they can make money with our products, not giving up that revenue to other people, because that's what's happening. You might make money on advertising, right? Kind of thing, but you're not making money on that customer that's yours. They're going somewhere else to buy that product. Makes no sense to me. So I've just never been that way.
Well, and you and I have talked about this quite a bit in terms of, how do you mentioned this in the very beginning about no one really knew who you were, and you've kind of built relationships. And you and I know this extremely well, especially being involved with FSGA the way we are, is that this industry is a community, and this community is filled with relationship building. And that's how ultimately business can and should be done. And relationship building is really important in our industry. We've seen that firsthand, all the way up and down the chain of command within these companies within our industry. With that in mind, we're going to kind of start to close this down a little bit. I always ask early stage companies, entrepreneurs, founders like yourself, is what advice would you give to any other entrepreneurs looking to break into this industry?
Well, if you have an idea, do it. That's, I mean, it's a very easy community to break into. Everybody here wants to help you. If you have an idea of something to do in fantasy, you just bring it. It really is something that everybody here will help you grow. I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for yourself and Howard and some of the other relationships that I've now started building. We wouldn't have, if we didn't take the chance, if we didn't write, you got to take that leap. If it works, that's great. Some things don't, and that's okay, right? So you pivot.
I've used that word a lot with startups, pivot.
That's what I've done. Because I started out, it was, I had one direction and I had to pivot, and I did, and I pivoted. And then, of course, I brought Gigi in, and she's helped me through all of this pivot my directions and where I'm going. And that's really what I needed. So that's why we make a great team. So,
well, again, I've heard your journey, heard your story on numerous occasions. I'm a big fan of you and Gigi and what you guys are doing, and always there to help promote what you're doing and how you're doing it. So, thanks for sharing your journey. But now we're going to talk about a different journey, and that is those Yankees behind you that I see. I know you grew up in New York. So I know you're a Yankees fan, and I think, unfortunately, you might also be a Jets fan. Want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, listen, 1968. I still remember when we won. I go back that far. So I'm not a bandwagon fan. So Clearly. We are thick-skinned. That's who we are. But we're not allowed to have anything nice either. So that's, pretty much what they say.
I hate this team. I was born into this, and I'm not gonna ever. I'm always a Jets fan, but I hate this team.
Well, the good news is you get the balance of, you got the Jets on one hand, but you got the Yankees on the other, and so you're one season you're happy, the other season you're not, right?
I mean, yes. Look, the Yankees, listen, the Yankees have had great teams every year. Our biggest problem has been the bullpen. So as we showed last night again.
Well, I mean,
we've had a great start.
Now let's talk about reality for a second, Matty, because I know you're going to love this because I'm sure you'll have a comment on this. But the Yankees and the Dodgers are the two best teams that money can buy.
Well, George is rolling over in his grave right now because Hal's not pulling the trigger.
He's not spending enough.
As a New Yorker and a Yankee fan, I can tell you that all the Dodgers did was take our playbook, and now they've gone above and beyond. But their team is.
Yeah. Well, let's hope that the Yankees do something special for you this year, because I'm of the opinion, and I don't know if I think this opinion is shared by others, that we might not see baseball next year for a while. I think the collective bargaining agreement negotiations are going to extend into the season next year based on everything I'm hearing. But that's a story for another day, my friend. But good luck with the Yankees, and even more good luck with the Jets.
Well, thank you. Listen, the Jets are the Jets. I mean, there isn't much anybody can say about the Jets. I mean, look, we got Geno Smith back. Really?
Oh, I know there's a few people thrilled about that one. I won't mention any. I'm not going to mention any names, Howard Bender. I promise I won't mention any names. But I know Howard's really thrilled about Geno in a New York uniform.
I keep pulling Howard back onto the bandwagon. He keeps trying to jump off. I'm not going to be there by myself. So it's all good. But listen, we'll be okay. I mean, everything's a cycle. I keep telling myself that, right? So ours just seems to be a longer cycle than others.
Well, the Jets must be a generational cycle for you, because it's 68? Geez Louise.
69. Yeah, 69 was the season. I still have the coin from that particular season. So,
it's always, as you know, it's always fun talking sports with you, regardless of what the topic is. But when it comes to team sports, we have a lot of fun with the Yankees, Yankees versus the Mets, Jets versus the Giants. For me, it's all the Chicago teams. I've had my taste of failure for many years with the Cubs and the Bears. So I'm not one to.
I'm an old school guy, so I'm not. Sports in itself, and you know how I am. I get a little crazy with all the skewing of the stats and all the stuff that they're doing now and changing the games. So it gets me.
But that's what makes sports so much fun to follow, to watch, to be a part of it. So, hey, Matt, I want to thank you for taking the time out today to talk about kind of your company, what you're up to, the journey, all the great things. And so thank you for taking the time out of your day to talk to us, and tell folks how they find you and how they can order your product.
Well, you can find us on Shopify at shop.usasportsfanchains.com. We'll take you to the site. If you're interested in wholesale, go to usasportsfanchains.com, and we have a wholesale site there that you can click on and send us a letter or a text, and we will get in touch with you. Of course, that's the easiest ways to get a hold of Gigi and myself.
And I'm going to give you one big last testament here to the folks out there, is that order his chains. They're great chains. They're a lot of fun. You'll enjoy them. Your legs will enjoy them. So please do that. Please extend my thanks to Gigi as well. And I certainly appreciate all your time. But there's always one last but here. There's a but here. I always end our show with the same question that we ask every guest. Every guest gets this question at the very end. What is your favorite sports movie?
Man. Well, it depends on what sport, doesn't it?
Sport is a sport. I don't care what sport.
I have several. So I
No,
mean,
you need to narrow it down to
just one.
Just one.
Well, I would have to say Rocky's probably my favorite sports movie of all time.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
We haven't heard that one yet, but that's a good one. Good choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, my friend. Thank you again for all the time. Again, extend my thanks to Gigi when you see her. And I'm sure I'll see you guys soon. Talk to you really soon, too.
Sounds great. Thank you, Scott. Appreciate it.